Ma'am, sorry for the interruption. You are not audible, ma'am.
You are muted.
Yes.
Your...
Yeah, unmuted, sir. Unmuted, sir. It is indeed a great day, for we have all gathered here with a thirst for knowledge in yet another session in our webinar series. This is Dr. Madhavi Chandra from the Department of Case Taking and Repertory, and I'm here to conduct today's session. I deem it a great pleasure in welcoming our MD, Engineer Sivasubramaniam sir, our Principal, Dr. Shakuntala ma'am, trustee members, Mrs. Padmavati ma'am and Dr. Kartika ma'am, our Vice Principal, Dr. Brito Wilbur Das sir, my dear colleagues and our budding doctors. I welcome all of you for this most awaited program. The world is witnessing a deadly pandemic and we are getting ready for a new normal. Though we are facing tough times, being the most evolved organisms on earth, we humans tend to make the best out of any adverse situations. Hence, webinars are the most happening events during this lockdown, and we homeopaths have used this to the fullest in sharing and gaining knowledge. So I would rather say this is a blessing in disguise for most of us, and thanks to the advance in technology that has made this possible. Our great sage Thiruvalluvar has said this few centuries back, Selvathul Selvam Serichelvam, Achelvam Selvathul Ellam Thalai, where he says knowledge is the best wealth a man can possess. Abiding by these sensible words, we are here to witness a thought-provoking session on one of homeopathy's core subjects, repertory. To do this, we have a great mind in homeopathy amidst us, and a speaker for today's session, Dr. Mritul Kumar. Sir has been practicing homeopathy since 1979 and is a consultant for various hospitals in Patna. He has authored many books on homeopathy. It's a great privilege in having him as a resource person for today. On behalf of the management and Department of Case Taking and Repertory of Venkateshwara Homeopathic Medical College, I would like to welcome him and thank him for making his time for all of us among his busy schedule. Before we go any further, a gentle reminder for all the participants, please mute your audios. If you leave the meeting, please log in to the same ID. So keep your questions and all your queries can be answered at the end of the session. And e-certificates will be provided for all the participants. A link will be, you can fill the form within 1 hour after the session, after which you will receive the e-certificates. Now I invite Dr. Kartika to deliver the welcome speech. Ma'am.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Honorable Chief Guest, respected MD sir, Principal ma'am, Vice Principal sir, teachers and my dear students. A very good morning to all of you. I take great pride in welcoming this August gathering to this special webinar. Ever since the lockdown started, we've had many webinars and education, but I consider today's session as a great privilege and a wonderful learning opportunity for all of us at VHMC. The reason being, our esteemed chief guest and speaker for today, Dr. Mritul Kumar Sahani sir. He is a prominent homeopath, a proficient academic, and a prolific speaker. His vast clinical practice of 41 years and abundant teaching experiences are a treasure trove to learn and absorb from. Sir was born on 17 September 1952. His father, late Dr. Bandhu Sahani, discovered the concept of transmission of drug energy from a distance. Sir worked directly under his father and learned homeopathy and pharmacy at his father's knee. After completing his UG and Masters in Homeopathy, Sir went on to acquire his PhD from the Maharashtra University of Health Sciences. He also completed a certified course on clinical research and a PGD HHM hospital management degree from Symbiosis, Pune. Currently, Sir is a member of the Central Council of Homeopathy, Government of India, New Delhi. He is a scholar in the transmission of drug energy from the distance and founder of the Society of Sahani Drug Transmission, Patna. He is the chairman of RISDTH, which is Research Institute of Sahani Drug Transmission and Homeopathy in Shivpuri, Patna, and involved in many research activities and novel explorations. He is also the professor and HOD of Repertory Department and PG coordinator at GD Memorial Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Patna. He serves as a secretary or president of various associations, chief editor and honorary advisor to many prestigious journals like Homeotarang and Indian Journal of Classical Homeopathy. He is an NABH trained assessor for Ayush hospitals and institutions and holds many other distinguished posts, including guide and examiner for MD exams in various universities all over India. In the past, he served as the chairman of NABH. He has a strong inclination towards research activities and has presented numerous papers in national and international conferences. The papers presented by Sir on quality education in homeopathy in the World Homeopathic Congress of LMHA, New Delhi, and also in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, well received. He was also the chairman of the scientific session there. For his dedication to homeopathy, Sir was awarded Hahnemann Award and Kent Award by the Homeopathic Medical Association of India in 1999 and 2001. He was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award by Cancer Institute of Homeopathy, Kolkata, and by the Research Society of Jodhpur. Sir is the recipient of the Award of Excellence by the Center for Advanced Studies in Homeopathy, CASH, in 2005 and 2007. Philosophy by the Open University, Sri Lanka. He has authored various books, including Principles and Practice of Homeopathic Pharmacy. In addition to his private practice since 1979, he is a consultant for homeopathy to various hospitals in Patna. Sir is also involved in many social welfare activities like Red Cross, YMCA, and lot more. With his extensive knowledge of homeopathy and so many achievements to his credit, he is the most humble, down-to-earth, and thoughtful person I have known. His passion for homeopathy and commitment to our system is so great that he is ever ready to help and encourage his fellow homeopaths towards growth and development. Personally, our institution and management is very grateful to Sir for his guidance and the pivotal role he has played in the development of our college. His wise words of counsel guide us even today. There are many such institutions who will say the same about Sir all over India. A soft-spoken, yet energetic and resourceful person who is an inspiration for all of us. We are very happy and indeed fortunate to have you with us today, Sir. Welcome, Sir. We are very pleased to welcome our Managing Trustee, Shri A. Sivasubramani, Sir. He is the backbone of our institution and the driving force behind all our successes. Welcome, Sir. We extend a hearty welcome to our correspondent and principal, Dr. A. Shakuntala Ma'am. She guides us through our ventures and motivates us to explore new avenues. Welcome, ma'am. We extend a warm welcome to our trustee, Mrs. A. Padmavati Ma'am, who is continually working behind the screen for the welfare of our college. We extend a warm welcome to our Vice Principal, Dr. Brito Wilbert Das, sir, who is our constant source of support and encouragement. Welcome, sir. I heartily welcome all my dear colleagues, the faculty, and the strength of our institute, all our dear students and the other participants to the webinar who are waiting eagerly to learn from our multifaceted resource person for today, Dr. M.K. Sahani, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for very nice introductions, Dr. Kartika.
Thank you, sir.
It is my pleasure to be with you all again. Today I was going through the video slides and that was displayed just now, and I felt that the college has now it's 20 years old. So I also recount myself to be associated with this college, Venkateswara Homeopathic Medical College, since last more than 20 years. Because before the birth of this college, I was associated and we knew the whole family of Dr. Shakuntala, the father, who was an engineer and had a homeopathy. He was an electrical engineer, but his mind was like that of a homeopath, and he had the vision of establishing a homeopathic medical college that was realized by him as a Venkateswara Homeopathic Medical College. thanks to the Lord Venkateswara for having this opportunity given to this family for bringing the homeopath to the highest peak. I am very grateful and thankful to the Madam Sakuntala, who has been very much interested and taken over the job of this homeopathic, running this management and the college, being a lady. And this is a rare opportunity for the homeopathic colleges in India also. I feel today honored. It is not a new first time that I am coming to this college. Many of you and many of the faces are recognized, and I remember all the time. Several occasions I had given my lectures in the college directly to the students long back in the building and explaining some of the things. Whenever I happened to visit Chennai, I had an opportunity to visit this college. This is my greatest association with this and love for these institutions. So thank you, Dr. Kartika, for inviting me to present my seminar lecture on this through this virtual meeting. Although this has become a very good opportunity to be with us and share as if we are seated in front of each other. So for today's lectures concerning, I am very much interested to share my subject of the repertory. You may be knowing that I am practicing this repertory with my father. I started learning and getting updated with the repertory right from I got the inspiration from my father itself about the repertory. In those days, the olden days, where the repertory was not so much popular, and people used to find it very difficult subject, because going through the pages before the patient seated in the clinic and running page by page and writing down, noting down the rubrics and noting down the medicines, it was a very cumbersome job. Now with the gradual technology advancement, the things are becoming so much simplified. And still I remember that in old age, whatever I learned, it was my treasure, it was my building blocks that were very important for my life. So I am going to share with you the about basically whatever we study in our medical educations during the college. The only aim and purpose is to support and help the life of the patients. And as we have understood that each and every patients are different from each others, and their presentations are also quite different. So different strategies are required. We have to learn how to practice the different strategy to deal with the individual patient. It is not a generalized things that we go on giving one medicines to everyone. Every time when a patient comes to us, we have to find out the new medicines. So a strategy is required, a differential diagnosis is required, and this is very important for all of us to understand. So I'm just uploading my PowerPoints to share with you some of the features where we can do it easily. It is not a very difficult job. It is but only you have to keep open. You have to be very vigilant. You have to be in the clinic, and you have to see what you require and how you can apply them. This is only thing is required. So managing the things and finding out the right situations and right moment and right remedial approach, right system is required. Repertory is a very I feel that repertory is a very strategical subject. It has to be very versatile and applicable to every system. The chronic cases, acute cases, different nature of the patients are there. So we have to be versatile enough to keep changing our repertorial process. So my today's topic is to differential approach in the practice of homeopathic repertory. So I'm just sharing my screen so that we can get more about this topic. My PPT are visible to you all? My PPT is visible? Hello? I have to share, no?
Yes, sir. You have to share. It's only white.
I'm just trying to, I have opened this PPT. Yeah. It is visible now?
No, sir.
I'm trying.
So meanwhile, before the session starts, we'll start with a question in between, especially for the final years. So the question, final years, kindly listen. The evaluation of remedies was first introduced by whom? That is, it was introduced by a homeopathic pioneer. So the options, if you want, I can give you. It will be Dr. Kent, Dr. Boger, Dr. Jar, and lastly Dr. Boninghausen. So what could be the right answer for this? So I want the final years to answer this. Very good. So it is Gupta. Yeah, many have already answered. It's option D, Dr. Boninghausen. Very good, very good. So similarly, the next question is, The side effects of chemotherapy is seen in which repertory? So the rubric side effects of chemotherapy is seen in which repertory? Synthetic repertory, synthesis repertory, release repertory. Fine. So the answer is very good. It's option D. Sorry, C. Murphy.
Hello?
So one more short question. What does eye teeth in TPB means?
Sir,
Yeah.
started Dr.
Yes, sir.
Mitchell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The slide is visible now, sir.
So, sorry for some delay. Uh, Now I start my presentations. It is differential studies on repertorial approach in homeopathy. Friends, as we all are aware about the repertory, there are so many repertories, and it is often we feel stuck into which one to use and which not to use. And when we are seated in the clinic, the basic thing is that for which patient we have to use which repertory. Or so I am going to familiarize you all with the scope and limitations and where and strategy that you can develop during the clinical hours. This has to be more clinical than the theoretical portion. So the biggest concept for our a patient is never represented by a single symptoms, however peculiar they may be. So first of all, we have to keep in mind a patient is sick, and a patient means composition of so many phenomena, so many symptoms, so many elements, everything are there. So by one element of the symptoms or single symptoms, the patient cannot be represented. It will be a unilateral approach or a one single approach that may not prove to be the curative medicine. What we have learned about homeopathy is that it is a totality of the symptoms, and totality is not only the some symptoms, it has to be the qualitative and the quantitative both, qualitative and qualitative. So in the totality has got the two-way understanding. The number it counts by the number, and it also counts by the quality. So we have to keep in mind, and this is the basic objective that we have to apply in our clinical practice. So who is a patient? Patient is a person with a composition of so many symptoms. And we are not going to prescribe a medicines on one point or one single symptoms. We have to be careful for this. And this is the only target, this is the only area where homeopathy can work. So man is complete unified system. We do not observe life, but only living beings. What we see, the life is demonstrated through the living beings, our body, our mind, our spirit, and our activity. So we can study the properties of the living organism and can at best differentiate them from those non-living entities. So how we can see that this is a man? Because when we see the sick man, he is not completely healthy. He is not completely dead. He is in between state where he is not feeling better. Okay. So he is not non-living now. He is a living person, but living person in a problem. a living person in the problem. So complete unified system. What we have to keep in mind, a man is a complete unified system to practice homeopathy. I say homeopathy. There exists a wide gap between the science of life and metaphysics of life. When we talk about the science of the life, becomes limited to the your body, physical body. But when we talk about the metaphysics of the life, it crosses beyond the visibility. So invisible aspects of the life is important. Invisible, I say the invisible aspects of the life, because these invisible substances are responsible for keeping us alive. So incorporating the invisible substance into the life and understanding those invisible phenomena is very much important for the practice of homeopathy. And properties of the living beings are observed, and many facts are made known and constituted towards the systematizations of human knowledge. Yet they are often constrained with the explanations why we are alive, and what is making us to remain alive. This is the important things that we have to keep in mind. And those responsible factors must be the most important factors for our life, because they are maintaining our life. We are because of that. We are because of those invisible substances. So this giving importance to the invisible substance in medical science is very much required. And whichever medical science which is not recognizing those metaphysics of the life will always remain incomplete and will not be able to come closer to the health. So they will keep pondering into the darkness, because within the limited anatomical and physiological structures, the life seems to be very limited. But when we think beyond that, our life is extended to every part of the universe. Friends, as a practical person, we are more concerned with the scientific aspects of the life. So making the metaphysics into the scientific aspect is important. And many of the phenomena of sickness and life cannot be explained only in the term of materialistic point of view. A patient is coming to you, and you see that the problem, that he's telling you about the problem, but when you try to find it out in the laboratory, all laboratory reports say it is okay, no problem. Heart checking is okay, heart function test is okay, liver function test is okay, brain function test is okay, kidney function test is okay, everything is okay. And this is the reality. Patients suffering from the autism, patients suffering from the cardiac problem, they say it is cardiac problem because the heart is palpitating, but why it is palpitating? Many a time it becomes not possible to find it out through the ECG machines or any diagnostic systems. And in an absence of explanation of life fact, one gets obstructed in making use of the existing knowledge. So you cannot apply your existing knowledge, the present knowledge, or that is limited within the books and the laboratory only. Life of the man, individual man, cannot be counted or recorded in the laboratory. They are beyond that. This is because it is in the perceptions of the human being, and the perception is very much important for our understanding for the medical practice. Integration is the life-building process. What is integration? What is integration? Everything is unified and in a very definitive association with each other. And even after getting dissociated, every element remains unified. This integration is required for keeping a equational balance. So integration and distinct integrations are continued phenomena. Are the continued phenomena for our life. The life there are accumulations of the elements, and there are many a time it is going away. So this is the process, this is the moving process. We say the life is in motion. Homeopathic scientific approach towards the disease is nothing can be known of a disease except through the symptoms. And what is symptoms? Symptoms are just the feelings, sensations that one is having in their sensation. It is the patient who is sick, not his parts or the organ. Symptoms are the unfailing guide to the selection of the remedy, and peculiar characteristics individualizing symptoms as against the common symptoms denotes the similar symptom remedy. The remedy can hardly ever be indicated by a single symptom, however peculiar they may be. Keep in mind, the remedy can hardly ever be indicated by a single symptom, however peculiar peculiar they may be. In repertory, you will find so many rubrics are there where only 1 or 2 medicines are limited. Those are most dangerous rubrics, I say, because you get excited or lured to use them, but many a time they fail. Why? Because that medicine is not representing the totality of the life. So unless the medicines covers the totality of the life, that single medicine will remain will be of no use. When they are useful, we have to understand what is the utility and importance of those rubrics which are having only 1 or 2 medicines, and why there are only 1 or 2 medicines. This is the biggest question. Why there may be the people might not have discovered with other medicines, and history says we have seen the development of the repertory, development of the medicinal informations. The carcinosin, you may be aware, in 1980, hardly few symptoms were known about the carcinosin, and it was one of the rare medicines at that time. Rare medicines. And we knew about the carcinosin only through the Faubistus writing a small booklet, drug picture of the carcinosin. But nowadays, when we go through the synthesis repertory, everywhere the carcinosin is dominating. And it is the number of the symptoms of the carcinosin has swelled beyond thousands. So this is the status. So that single medicines rubrics, you may say that this rubrics is developing rubrics. Developing rubrics means it is not complete rubric. Other medicines are not included. That's why it is like that. So be careful with the single remedy rubrics. Repertoire usually refers to a list. Now this, you may be aware about the word repertoire. Repertoire is a list or set of the drama, opera, musical compositions or role which a company or a person is prepared to perform. The term was widely used by musicians to refer the musical repertoire in the European country. And still in present, you will find the repertorial theater where the music are being composed. And you know how the music are composed. We all love music. And the music simply means not the one tune. It contains the several tunes which has been placed in such a manner that they present a beautiful music. They are represented as a beautiful. And this is the phenomena that we have to create among the symptoms. That is available in with the patients, and we have to unify them to create a music-like system. That's why the dream of Dr. Henneman was to make the repertorial way for the selection of the medicines. That's why we see right from the beginning he used this word, the terminology, repertoire, and he was inspired by the repertorial practice that was being followed in those era. And still today, all musics are being composed like that. And so this is the copied or imitated era borrowed by Dr. Henneman into the subject of the medicines. First known use of the word repertoire was in 1847. It is a loan word from the French language, repertoire, with a similar meaning in the arts. The origin of the word is from the late Latin word repertorium. The concept of basic repertoire has been extended to refer the group which focus mainly on performing standard works as a repertory theatre or a repertoire ballet. And from this incredible proving, Dr. Henneman method of proving produced a treasure of symptoms regarding each drugs, and the homeopathic mathematics grew to the extent myriads of symptoms proved an almost impossible task for anyone to retain in memory and to find out a particular drug or symptoms corresponding with the disease conditions. How many symptoms of you can have in your mind about the sulfur? The simple sulfur, the most common medicines of our Medica. There are, in Allen's Encyclopedia, you will see 5,064 symptoms are recorded. Allen's Encyclopedia, the 12-volume, it contains 5,064. In the radar synthesis repertory, you will find more than 15,000 symptoms. How many you can retain in your mind? And similarly, all medicines are like that. All polycrest medicines are like that. How to use them? How to use them? It is impossible task, almost impossible task. So this incredible task proving has exposed the dimensions of the homeopathic medicines. And with this exposure, the difficulty become more impossible task. And to bring it into the compass of your mind, within the compass of the mind, one system is required, and this is the repertorial system that Dr. Henneman found it to be most compatible for us. What navigations for therapeutic approach to the sickness? Thousands of symptoms in each medicine, more than 5,000 medicines, and selection of single medicines, a big challenge. So, thousands of symptoms in each medicines. Nux vomica, 2,500. Belladonna, more than 2,200 medicines. Sulfur, 15,000 medicines. And how many medicines you have in your Medica? Still growing, more than 5,000 accumulated. And among this number, you have to find out only one single. It is the biggest challenge for us. So research for medicines for an individual is, so the only process is the research. In patient or clinical approach, a homeopathic case taking or homeopathic medical practice has to be called as a research for medicines for an individual case. It is not the, it is the clinical approach. Our clinical approach lies in research, finding or searching out the medicines. So exploration of the symptoms, we have to explore the symptoms from the patient. We have to make the patient, see the patient as a whole, his problem, his particular locations, his related problems, causations, modality, and time modality. So, spirit, body, and the mind. It has to be the chakra, it has to be the collective unconsciousness, it has to be the neural path, it has to be the wisdom, it has to be the physiological, it has to be the biological, it has to be everything. So, what is human life? It is a universe. The big world, like the whole world, human body or human life is also a small miniature world. And in miniature world, you have to find out all those problems, all those things, and that will only constitute the true portrait of the human life. And this is the true portrait of the human life that you see on the screen. Concept of totality of symptoms, it requires understanding of harmony of the life, how the things are unified, how they are being presented. The symptoms, the arrangement is very important. That only constitutes your repertorial process. Similimum is like a shadow. Similimum, what is similimum? It is like a shadow following the objects. Resemblance of symptoms to totality is the objective of similimum. resemblance, and matching requires artistic approach and scientific knowledge. So we have to be a artistic and we have to be a science. So we have to be master of the science, we have to be the master of the art. And here is the resultant effect of similimum. Here is nothing, it is simply resultant effect. Only perfect tuning of the drug picture with a disease picture brings the similimum, and similimum only paves the path towards the cure. Thus, all efforts in homeopathy is to find out the similimum. So, a musical way of understanding the whole. Therapeutic approach requires harmony between physicians, medicines, and the patient. So, physician has to get involved into the patient's life and into the medicine. And with this involvement only, you can have a harmony. A harmony has to be developed. This is an important thing for our learning for the homeopathic practice. Repertory is therapeutic approach in homeopathy. We talk about the therapeutic approach, and in the therapeutic approach we keep in mind few medicines. That is very a blunder. It is not a homeopathic way of memorizing or the therapeutic. In homeopathy, the therapeutic means the repertorial process, where we are reconstructing the image of medicine from the scattered symptoms in Materia Medica for a patient is the only musical understanding and only musical therapeutic approach for the homeopathic practice. So it is a perfect matching. It has to be a perfect match. Tuning to create music. Repertory is like a musical instrument which requires understanding and practice of with dedication. So it is tuning process. And clinical approach for the physicians, our approach, what we require, handling the emergency, handling the acute cases, handling the chronic cases, and providing palliative treatment and terminal cases and the management. These are our clinical approach. And here it has to be tuned for every practice: emergency, the emergency music; acute, the acute music; chronic, the chronic music; palliative, the music, or the management music. So everywhere the music word has to be applied. Music means unifying the things together immediately. That comes from within, from inside. It has to come from at a glance, at a system, and it has to be reflective in nature. It has to be reflective in nature. This is very important for understanding our homeopathy. Homeopathic repertories are constructed to handle all types of the situations, right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, people were engaged in making repertory. Dr. Henneman started with the concept of the repertory only, the practice, the birth of homeopathy is the birth of repertory. He himself tried to have a repertory approach. Different approach came up, which to help the different type of the cases and different type of the nature of the patients. The Bonnie-Hessens approach, Kent approach, Boger's Bonnie-Hessens approach, and the synthetic approach. And now we all must have to develop our own strategic approach. This is important. Our own strategic approach is very important, because we don't have to become Bonnie-Hessens. I cannot become Bonnie-Hessens. I cannot become Kent. I cannot become Boger. I have to become Dr. Sahni myself. So you all have to become whatever is your name. So this is your own strategic approach, where you are unifying all those using all those aspects. You are imbibing the spirit of the Bonnie-Hessens. You are imbibing the spirit of the Kent, Boger, Bonnie-Hessens, and whatever things, the original. So many classifications we have studied in your repertorial learning, and all those repertory needs to be unified for your own life. And diversity of patients requires variable approach. Some patients are dominated with the mental symptoms, some with the physical symptoms, and there are only pathological symptoms also. Some patients comes, doctor sir, there is only diabetic, I am sorry. What is the problem? No problem. is A. Oh, how funny it is. How funny it seems. No problem, but sugar is A. What is happening to you? My BP is raised. But what is the problem? No problem, my BP is raised. Doctor, I am suffering from the hypothyroidism. What is the problem? No problem, doctor. Only doctor says that I have the hypothyroidism. So there are only pathological symptoms. Then one-sided observed facts. Some people are mentally sick, some people are physically sick, there are local problems, these are there. We also observe mixed presentations also. Some patients coming with they are so much talkative, so much loquacious, and some patients are coming who do not talk. So diversity, every patient comes to you, they are a challenge for you. They are a new challenge for you, and it is for you to analyze what to give and what to select for them. So Bonnigian approach concept, let us see just a bird's eye view of the doctrine of analogy, the similarity. Whatever there is the mind, that is there in the body. One of the things which is appeared at one part of the body has got the same meaning at every part of the body. This is the analogical meaning. Then doctrine of concomitant, the two problems having at the different places but having the same root. Then evaluation of the remedies evaluations and relationship of the remedy, and the concordance. Concordance means applying the law of totality. Having a concordance relationship of the music is the Bonnigian's concept. So he talked about the analogical concomitance, evaluations, and musical combinations of all those things. People say Dr. Bonnigian never talked about and he had very little, he gave little importance to the mental symptoms. I will tell you why he had said like that. He was the man who understood the mind well, and he know how to apply the mind. He said mind has to be applied, kept as a final tool. Mind is, you can separate or individualize a man with the mind only. So he has got great theme for the mind. Then grand generalizations was his purpose. Everything to be generalized. There is no particular symptoms at all, only the grand generalizations. And what is general symptoms? They represent the tendency to spread. It is towards the chronicity. Whichever symptoms appears on the body, they first appear on one part of the body. Gradually, it extends to the other part of the body, having the same modality and the sensation. So this is called the development of the symptoms. That's why it has been called the general symptoms. And finding out the general symptoms will make you understand the level of the chronicity in the patient. So this is the general symptoms. This is the grand generalizations that you just go through this small video. So it is getting generalized. It is the problem associated coming at one place. It is spreading to the whole of the body, and this is a beautiful representation for the grand generalizations. So tendency of the diseases to capture entire organism. Vital force indicates its fall toward inward to outward. From vital force, it extends to the all part of the body. So Bonnigian's concepts of totality, he talked about, first point he said, quiz. This is the characteristics value of symptoms he spoke. The quiz, personality, the individuality. How the quiz, you can recognize the quiz? Through the mental. Personality is always recognized through the mind. So he gave first importance to the mind. Then disease. What is the problem? The quid, the disease, its nature and peculiarity. Q, where it is, locations. And cubus oculus, accompanying symptoms, and cure, the causation cause of the disease, Kumado, modifications, aggravations, ameliorations, and Kunando, time. Don't you see the completeness by these 7 points only? So it is called the hexameter of Dr. Bonhoeffer's. Hexameter, a meter where which can make you understand, leads you towards the totality of the medicine. So this is called the hexameter. Using this hexameter, you can move towards the totality of the symptoms, creating a portrait of the disease. Kant's philosophy. What's about the Kant? Kant intervened. And he says Kant's interpretation is based on the philosophy of deductive logic from general to particular. And general are dealt with depth followed by particulars and minute particulars. Particular and minute particulars. Some particulars are similar to the general. They can be made general. They can be generalized. But there are some particulars which cannot be generalized. So that particulars are called the characteristics particular by him. I call it the rebellion particular. The particular which do not follow the general symptoms, they are just opposite in nature. They are rebellion type. They don't obey the law of the disease or law of the life. They are just obeying something else. So they become visible, more visible. And they are the characteristics. They characterize, a man is characterized by something in the peculiarity. And this is the characteristic value of the symptoms that Dr. Kent talked about. Whenever we get this type of the symptoms, we come much closer to the medicine. And then he talked about the prime importance to the medicine in mind. And what type of the mind? Bonhoeffer said the personality mind. Personality means all the general phenomena of the mind, like the anger, fear, and all anger, fear, sympathy, emotions, all those factors. But the prime importance of the mind was here for Dr. Kent was the particular nature of the mind, particular behavior. A patient seated before you in your clinic biting his nail. What type of mind it is? It is absorbed in some of the thought, but expression. Many people may be absorbed in different ways. But this man is seated before you in your clinic, biting his nails and thinking something, keeping in the mind something. And this becomes important particular mental symptoms for some of the cases. Like the sucking of the symptoms, gestures, behavior, and the facial expressions, they are the expression of the mind. So my expression of the mind has to be looked at every place of the body. Every place of the body. And beside the mind chapter, in Kent Repertorial, you will find there are the mental symptoms in every chapter of the report. Every chapter. Which are there, the eye chapter, ear chapter, nose chapter, and whichever chapter you speak of, you will have to find out, you can find out the mental symptoms there. So mind is not a localized part. Mind is expressed in every part of the body. Every part of the body. Because where the mind lives in each and every cell. The cell has got the nucleus, and that nucleus contains the mitochondria. And mitochondria is representative of the intelligence. And intelligence is there in each and every cell. So mind is there in each and every cell. So we have to think like that. We don't have to see the mind in the brain only. We have to see the mind in the hand only. We have to see the mind in your foot also. Sometimes their mind is there in the foot. Sometimes. And Dr. Henneman, what he has taught. Henneman has taught indwelling region gifted mind. Henneman has taught indwelling region. Mind resides where is the problem. Mind is movable. It goes here and there. It wanders. It travels like that. And looking as a monitor, and to make sure what is happening in the body, what is happening in the life. So it moves towards the problem. Indwelling. It dwells. Region gifted. It has got the reasoning and indwelling nature. So mind becomes very important. So you have to search mind not only in the mental chapter. There are the particular mind in the physical body also. So keep in mind there is not only the mental general, but there are the mental particulars also. And that mental particular may be found out in the other chapters. Grinding his teeth during the maniacal rage. grinding his teeth during the maniacal. When the person gets more angered, he's grinding his teeth like this. Angry and grinding. The mind and body are getting associated. Heart starts palpitating during the out of the fear and the palpitations of that. Heart starts trembling, body starts trembling with the fear or with the anger. What is this? The face becomes red during the anger. The body becomes cold during the anger. One starts perspiring with particular type of the excitement. All these are the associations, and Dr. Keynes, that's why he gave the prime importance to the mind. And which type of the mind? The mind which is as a separate mental chapter, and the mind which are located in the all chapters. So friends, keep in mind, mind is located in every chapter, and you don't have to concentrate only on the mental chapters. Well, so we try to compile all those minds in the other chapters. This will increase the dimension, and this will bring you more closer to the medicine, and your repertorial process will become more simplified. So Keynes' classification of symptoms starts from the mental general. It moves towards the physical general, and goes towards the characteristic particular, and also even important of the common symptoms. So nothing can be discarded. Everything has got the importance, right from the common man to the VIP. The man being the VIP and the common public, everything is important for our classifications for our life. And this was the Kantian feeling. The Swedenborgian philosophy. The Kant, he was a Swedenborgian philosopher. He was influenced by the Swedenborg. Everywhere the life prevails. Friends, Hahnemann, in his Medicines of Experience, has acknowledged mind to be a superpower. He explains that while at birth, mind, which is the most dormant state, gradually acquires a dominating position in life and rules over the entire life. Just go through the very beautiful book of article of Dr. Hahnemann, Experience, Medicines of Experience, where Dr. Hahnemann spoke about the importance and the way the mind developed. The most dormant, the most helpless man becomes the most powerful man of this universe. He is born like a helpless creature, but he becomes the most powerful creature of this earth. So in all disease being treated, the psychic conditions of the patient should be written down among the totality of symptoms as one of the most important. If one disease has a faithful picture of the disease from which to make a successful homeopathic prescription. This is 210. All diseases being created, psychic condition of the patient should be written down among the totality of symptoms as one of the most important. He says, Dr. Hahnemann was quite confident, without including the mind and the body in the totality, you will not able to reach at the miasmatic factors. So mental general found itself in symptoms itself states. So mind requires understanding, emotions, wills, and the understandings. So we require understanding to understand the understanding of the mind. We require mind to know the will. We require the mind to know the emotions. And what about the Boger? It changes of personality and temperament. Changes of personality, that's in change, the pathology. Now what the change represents? The pathology. Peculiarity of the disease, the change. Seat of the disease, the change. Concomitance is the change. Cause getting changed into the action. And modality, the reflection of the pathology. And time, the periodicity tower. So this is the Boger basic concept, and where the main concept is the pathology. So Boger worked on Bonnings's characteristics value, doctrine of complete symptoms, doctrine of pathological general, doctrine of causation and time, and clinical rubrics, evaluation of remedies, fever totality, and the concordance. See, when the persons are in great acute danger, what he experienced? During the acute danger, everyone is very much concerned about and comes very close to their life. And they can display and give you the better explanations about the life. Because when you are living with yourself, you know yourself. And when there is no problem, you are living outside, wandering into the universe, nature, going to the cinema, going to the bazaar, market. So you are not there. But when you are in problem, you come close to your life. And this is the Bonnigison's Boger approach. He says the mind comes back to the home. And that happened to the fever during also. The fever is one of the most important situations. And you can get very wonderful medicines because the symptoms are very visible there. The acute conditions, the symptoms are very much visible. So concept of pathology with ultimate change has been tried to be observed at local level of the life. And while diseases are affecting our life, it initiates and after completing all stages of its progressive feature, gets settled at a particular place. And usually such change state at local organ or the part of the body has been regarded as a pathology. But according to the Hahnemannian philosophy and the concept of the miasma, you have the pathology is at the miasma level, that is it is in the vital principle. The vital principle affected by the sora, syphilis or the psychosis. So the pathology starts from get resided or get settled into the vital force, vital principle. So that pathology is the basic pathology for, and that is called the pathological general of the homeopathy. Pathology is used in the context to the modern medicines. It is something visibility, only what we can see. This is the concept for the modern medicine. When in context, when used in context of modern medicine treatment, the term often used a more narrow fashion to refer to processes and tests, laboratory tests, some examinations, some MRI, some UCG, some this or that test. It includes number of distinct but interrelated medical specialties that diagnoses disease mostly through analysis of tissue, cells, and the body fluid samples. And idiomatically, a pathology may also refer to predicate or actual progression of particular disease also. So broad generalization in pathology and etiology is the homeopathy, and Hahnemannian generalizations, that is existence of living a specific infectious microorganism, that is the theory of the mind. So homeopathy, the broad generalizations of the life is gave birth to the theory of the miasma. And miasma, we have to find out the miasma. Where is the pathology? What is the state of the vital principle? And how you can know the state of the vital principle? Only by going through the physical and mental. So back to the pavilion. Back to the pavilion. From everywhere you have to come and you have to wander from mind to the body and body to the philosophy. And this way you are going to constitute the totality of the symptoms. So particular symptoms are like recognizing the reality. When we see the totality of symptoms, it is recognizing the reality. Often particulars are opposite to the general, thus they too need attention. Here I got the pain in the body and it is getting better by the warm applications. But when it comes to the headache, along with the other symptoms, the arsenic patient will say that doctor gave me, I feel better when I apply the cold applications. The whole body wants the warm and my head wants the, this is called the characteristics particular. and this particular becomes more important and indicates. So totality of diseased man, now we can make a totality of the diseased man by, there are the two facts, the unchanged state of the life and changed state of the diseased man means something is changed and something is not changed. So unchanged states are the constitutions, the mental states, plus the changed state symptoms and the pathological symptoms. So constitution of the man, constitution, mental symptoms and pathology, they constitutes and gives you the meaning of the totality, and that constitutes you the outcome of the miasma. It is the outcome of the miasma, and that miasma is reflected through the totality of the diseased man. So you come back to the miasma, you come back to the totality, you come back to the problem, and you come back to the situations. So complete totality, it is tuning and synthesizing. You have the mental general, physical general, pathological general, particular characteristics, and with significant past and miasmatic features. Significant past and the miasmatic features. And this is the music. So practical and clinical approach. Now again the question is there, Bonnigessen's, Boger or Kent? Now you can reply, yeah, I need all. I need all. I am a Boger, I am a Bonnigessen's, I am a Kent. And best suited to a certain method. The strengths of various different methodological approach have traditionally led to a prevailing wisdom which stipulates that certain type of case are best suited to certain methods and repertory. So don't get fixed. Don't get fixed to one system, one repertory. You have to be variable. Variability should be there. Applicability should be there. And incorporation into a single repertory. Now the process is going on. The entire human repertoire, people who are believing in this concept, they have started going for the single platform, making a common platform where all train will come and stop there. A platform where you can be utilizing the Bonnigessen's, Bonnigessen's approach, Kent approach, Boger approach, whatever approach there may be, your own approach, their common approach should be there. So prevailing dogma dictates that one should use either one method or other. But in practical terms, there seems little reason why you should be the case, or why both approaches and many others shouldn't be incorporated into a single repertory. So with this concept, we are now moving towards the complete repertory or a single repertory. And the two concepts are going on in our the repertorial world nowadays. The one is the integrated approach, that is called the integrated approach. And this integrated approach is very important because it gives you the flexibility of the practice. Flexibility of the practice is very important. And with this inclusive approach and integrated approach, there are the same thing. The integrated means taking out one rubric from one repertory and other, and then integrating them together. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. It is possible. We can integrate the common theme on the basis of the common theme, and then we can inclusive approach has one significant conceptual advantage over the exclusive one. It is flexibility allows for the creation of a virtually infinite varieties of complete symptoms. Infinite variety is important. So synthesized approach. We have the synthesis repertory now. Acceptance and openness towards the application of the rubrics. Now just see what has happened with the Kantian approach and the synthesis approach. which is said that the synthesis approach is just the enlarged version of the Kent. I agree, and I think you all have understood like that, made understood like that. But when you enter into the Kent, open the Kent repertory and the synthesis repertory together, and you just go through the rubrics, what has happened? Just take one rubrics, fastidious, in the Kent repertory. How many medicines are there? Only two, arsenic and nux vomica. And how many medicines are there in synthesis repertory? There are more than 70 medicines, including the sulfur. Now, putting sulfur along with the arsenic as a fastidious remedy, will you agree? Yes, the approach of the differential is required. Here, the differential approach of the meaning of the rubrics is required. The Kent meaning was limited to include only the arsenic and the whiteness, clarity of the life, the cleanliness, or the very well-to-do aspect of the life. That was the Kent meaning. But when you open the dictionary and go into the meaning of the fastidious, there is one big word, hard to please, difficult to please, where the man cannot change his mind. An arsenic patient is very much concerned, and he is always thinking, mind is dwelling about the insecurity only, his presentations only, hiding only, security, safety is the important phenomena. For the nux vomica, the important phenomena, the objective, what he has to do, that is more important. And for sulfur, what is important for the sulfur has got the importance of knowing the philosophy, to know, and lycopodium to achieve something, whatever way it may be. So, what is the common in the lycopodium, nux vomica, arsenic, and they are fastidious in their approach. They are fastidious in their approach. This is very important. And so when you are integrating, you have to understand the meaning of the integration and the theme and the meaning of the rubrics that has been changed. And it is being observed at every places in the repertory. So when you use the rubrics from one repertory to the another, you have to be careful. You have to be aware about the meaning that was involved in that particular rubric. Every rubric by a particular author have got the meaning that was imbibed by the master, that was imbibed by the Kent. So Kent repertory will have the Kentian meaning, Lippe repertory will have the Lippe meaning, Bonnigeson's repertory will have the Bonnigeson's meaning, and the Boger repertory will have the Boger's meaning. So synthesis repertory will also have the synthesis meaning. So there cannot be one generalized meaning for the rubrics. There cannot be the generalized meaning for one rubric. Yes, it is vary according to the applicability. This is the aspect where we are more careful. This is the aspect, that's why I say, when you are making the differential approach with the different repertory, which is required, which is very much essential, we have to become differential at the rubrics level also. We have to become differential at the mental level also. This is very much important for our life's understanding and repertorial practice. So complete symptoms, Bonnigeson's, Boger, and Kent. Rubrics from Bonnigeson's therapeutic pocketbooks can help to present a complete symptom, which also can be used as Kentian style from the repertory of or Boger. Then a specificity of the Kentian rubrics can be in most situations can be created from the Bonnigeson's rubrics also. Since the remedy in the Kentian rubrics are nearly always contained in the larger Bonny-Hessen's partial rubrics. So, Repertorium Homoeopathicum Syntheticum. Symptoms format is more clearly readable at each level. Either words follow each other in normal order, or the symptoms is split into only once is split in indicated by to show the places from where or we should start reading in Kent used. So, delusion, a policeman coming into the house, thought he saw, it is in the Kent. So now it comes to the synthesis, delusion, policeman coming in the house, he saw. So this is the repertory in the meaning in the Kent, and how you can see the difference that has been placed in the Kentian rubrics. Meaningful rubrics practical approach. Symptoms is split into meaningful bits, which is not done in the Kent. This is the beauty of the synthesis repertory. Example, cough, lose, exercise, and warm room aggravate. It has been split into the two rubrics, cough, lose, and exercise, and cough, lose, warm room going on in 2A. So this is a meaningful transformation of the rubrics. So changing, this is the change that I am indicating between the synthesis and the Kentian rubrics. So consultation approach through the cases, you have to be the Bonny-Hessen's. You start with the Bonny-Hessen's. You must have the understanding of the Boger. You must have the understanding of the Kent, and you have to synthesize them at the synthetic level, but in the practice. Now, I am going to give you a case of Bonny-Hessen's, which was done by Carl Robinson. It is a case of Carl Robinson. Just wanted to explain how you are repertorizing with the Bonny-Hessen's repertory. A case, 27-year-old man was in severe pain from an insect bite. The doctor concluded that it was from a brown recluse spider on the right posterior thigh 8 days earlier. By the 4th day, the area was grossly swollen and infected, and it was lanced. He was placed on antibiotics. Again, yesterday it was lanced and much dark green pus was released. He was instructed to pack with long strips of gauze, which he did, though it was painful to do so. This is a case history. On inspection, the skin around the ulcer was reddish purple. He said that 5 days earlier, the center had been black with a reddish perimeter. It was no longer black now. The area was quite painful, especially while sitting when a sharp pain shot down. After a period of intense pain, his hunger was increased. For the last 7 days, he has increased thirst for 7-Up or the fruit juice. He had started falling asleep during the day, very much unusual for him. Since the insect bite, he had been feeling warmer than usual. I find myself turning the fan on. He said he wanted to be left alone. He noted some trembling in the last 4 days. This was the case. Now you see analysis. This case is a pure pathological nature. The ulcer contained all the elements of the complete symptoms. Location here, the direction of the pain is most important. Complete stitching pain, striking because of the intensity, and black discoloration with red perimeter, and modality was worse by sitting, not used, and concomitant trembling, hotter than usual, and wanting to air, only the trembling was used. Now you see the repertorial analysis. The important factors were the nature of the discharge, the sensation of the pain, and the direction and the descriptions of the ulcer. One concomitant was selected. So following rubrics were taken. First, green, pain stitching downward directions, trembling inner, ulcer black with red perimeter. This is the repertorial rubrics. You see the repertorial analysis. The medicines coming out are Pulsatilla, Silesia, Rustox, Staphylococca, Aspertida, and so many medicines are there out of these rubrics. The Pulsatilla was selected and 3 times it was given in a day. He was warmer than usual and wanting fan. Both general symptoms of the Pulsatilla, it is the general symptoms, as they were not most uncommon symptoms, they were omitted through the help of the to confirm the Pulsatilla. After 2 days, considerably better. The shooting pain down the legs were 80% better. Some of the redness around the lesion was gone. The increased hunger followed with the pain was less. The wound continued to heal up nicely over the next week. This case was quite simple use of the therapeutic pocketbooks requiring only 20 minutes of the total. So within 20 minutes, this case was over. Now I am going to demonstrate one case from the synthesis repertory. It is my own clinic. It was a case of hypothyroidism suffering from the last 4 years. The breathing difficulty was there with the aggravation from the walking, and palpitations and cough exertions better by rest. Allergic to the dust and the obesity was there. Past history, nothing significant. Family history, father was a retired person having dry cough. Mother was a housewife, she was hypertensive. He has got 2 brothers and self only. Married 1996. Husband was a police office inspector, and he has 1 son and 1 daughter. His mental setup: he was a graduate. She was a graduate. Her occupation: she was a housewife. In spite of the graduation, she was satisfied, and sedentary lifestyle was there. Concentration was very difficult, short-tempered, weeping after anger, mild and silent, less interest in religious activity, and desire to remain in bed, and changes in the life desire for. See, this lady idea was the changes she wanted, because she was educated. Now in the house she has got no work, so she wants some change. With that change feelings, she has developed some internal conflict into the mind. So her physical setup was like that: throat dryness with the cough, nausea, vomiting tendency, eating after, palpitations, walking exertions, and back pain, lying long. So hypothyroidism, the laboratory finding, this is the level 12.505, and then ESR was 20, and ovarian cyst was also noticed. We took the following rubrics: mind, bed, remain in desire; mind, memory weakness for the proper name; mind, change desire; stomach, nausea, drinking after; chest palpitations, exertions during; chest palpitations, cough during; respiration difficult, cough during; and respiration difficult, palpitation. Now see the combination of the totality: the mental particular, bed in desire; memory, mental general, stomach, nausea, drinking after; physical, all these are the physical. Cough during, this constitutes the physical general symptoms also. The choice of remedy was Pulsatilla. Pulsatilla, basic theme of changeability is better reflected in this patient. Pulsatilla 0/1 was transmitted through the hair on 12th January 16, and case monitoring was done through TSH and other physical and mental symptoms. Now see the Pulsatilla, how it is coming up through the repertory. Nectramure is also closed, phosphorus is also closed, but Pulsatilla is covering all the 9 rubrics. So follow up, we started with the Pulsatilla. No change was there. On 16th, 6th, we went up to the pulsatilla potency change to 0/3, then again continued, and we keep on monitoring the TSH. You see the declining stage of the TSH here. So James Kent says in his lecture of philosophy, you will become an expert in questioning patients so as to bring out the store of materia medica so as to use it, and it will flow out as your own language flow. You must put yourself on a level with the form of speech your patients use. Be sure you have not put any word into your patient's mouth or bias his expressions. This is a beautiful version of Dr. Kent about how you can be a homeopathic practitioner. So playing chess and the repertorial approach is similar. One has to be careful while applying the rubrics for any individual case. Do not try to recall past experience in individual cases. Alertness, observations, and decision are the key point for a successful repertorization. Friends, repertory versus rubrics. Rubrics are the expression of symptoms most specific to each rubric. Mind it, each rubric, not all. For each separate rubrics, one has to be acquainted with the theme involved in the rubrics. It may be possible that same rubrics may not be applied in all rubrics. There is a need for universal rubrics expressions. Now, this is the requirement that we can come. It may come up in later stage of the repertory development. So, disease state of life is simply a struggle state. We have to keep in mind it is a struggle state. These persons are not at ease, they are struggling. Conflicting symptoms brings the characteristic understanding of the patient's life and also of the medicines. So theme are the window of life, and through the window of life we get vivid picture from every changing situations in life getting reflected as different symptoms. So consultation is a completely unique process, demanding of the interviewer different kind of sensitivity, different approaches to each patient. This is George Vittelko's understanding about different approaches for each patient. So differential diagnosis, differential repertorial approach is a requirement for our practice. So life is the art of driving without, life is the art of drawing without an eraser. So once it is printed, you have to become, you cannot erase them. So understanding of life begins with the understanding of the patterns. It is rich Capra quotations, very important for our practice of homeopathy. So with this, I thank you all for your time. And if you have any questions, you can right now, you can have it. And if you don't get the time, you can note down my email ID, that is ritt@gmail.com, or you can WhatsApp or Telegram me on 943102062. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Sir, we are thoroughly astonished at the depth of knowledge you have on the subject, sir. And thank you for the knowledge you have given us, sir. And everyone, they all say repertory is a very difficult subject, but you beautifully simplified it as tuning in to get the desired music. And you also compared game of chess. So I think all the participants were useful. Your session was very useful for all the participants, sir. Any questions from the audience? can unmute and you can ask the questions if required.
I welcome questions.
Question personally, sir. Sir, you had said sometimes we try to prescribe on a peculiar symptom. We feel it is very important, but we should not completely rely on that. But we should look at the totality. In those cases, what will those symptoms be, sir? How will we use those symptoms which are very important, but you don't have many medicines? Yes, sir.
You are asking about the single rubrics medicines?
Yes, sir, same, sir.
Yeah. See, there are many rubrics in your repertory where you can see that there are only one medicines. Okay? And we feel that this is the only medicines.
Yes.
But when you study that medicines and you try to compare with the patient's life, the entire life, many a time you will feel that it is not getting confirmation with that. So that medicines will not be the representative. They may have appeared, they may be present in the patient as a mutated symptom. We call them the mutated symptom. Mutated symptoms means which has appeared suddenly without any instances and they don't have any relationship with the completeness of the life. That's why they may not be the part of the patient's life. So this is one answer for that. And another, if it is other corresponding symptoms also. So when you get single medicines rubric, you can find out what other rubrics are there or not. If other rubrics are there, then you can use those single rubrics. So we have the two approaches: either to use them, but use them only when other symptoms are not present. You got my point?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir, got the point, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. There are no other questions right now.
Yeah.
So now I invite Dr. Abhi for a vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, Dr. Abhivandana.
Yes. Yes, it's an honor for me to give a thanking speech after this wonderful and thoughtful webinar session. Following the Teachers' Day, we have selected the right person for our webinar. And thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And happy Teachers' Day, sir. On behalf of our organizing team of Venkateshwara Homeopathic Medical College, I express my gratitude and respect to the distinguished speaker, Dr. Mridul Kumar Sahani, sir, for sparing his valuable time on repertorial in homeopathy. We owe for your explanation is repertorial uses in solving cases and ideal way of using repertory for cure. I hope session will help our delegated students to their knowledge. I want to thank our beloved MD, Engineer Sivasubramanian sir, our principal Dr. Kusala ma'am, faculty member Padmavati ma'am, and Dr. Kartika ma'am, Vice Principal Dr. Brito sir for arranging this wonderful session. Finally, I would like to thank moderator Dr. Madhavi Chandra ma'am who organized the webinar in a right way, and Dr. Sendil sir for taking care of technical aspects. I dedicate my gratitude to all the students and delegates who actively participated in this webinar. We will be having best sessions like this in the upcoming days. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abhivandana. I request all the participants to kindly fill in the form which is given in the chat box. Only then you will be receiving the e-certificate. Okay, we'll end up the session. Thank you. Thanks for participation, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This session is no longer being recorded.